Hello and welcome to the Tech and Toast podcast. We simplify the way you buy and manage your hospitality tech. You can click through to techontoast.community where you can search our marketplace, attend our events, grab your free tech audit, and we will help you visualize your tech stack as you grow into 2024. Meanwhile, summer in Australia.
Hey, Lou, do you think we should sponsor the Tech on Toast podcast? I mean, I really like Chris and I really like what it's all about.
Yeah, I think that's a ripper idea, LP. It's a perfect fit for what we do at Red Cat.
I mean, I agree. I'm just not sure how we get our message across around like Red Cat specializing in multi-site groups, like cafe groups and fast casual groups and QSRs and all that. Maybe
We mention some of our customers like Nando's in Australia, New Zealand, the restaurants at the Aussie Open, Boost Juice International. I mean, they've got over 700 sites.
Hang on. I think that was the sponsors. This is the Tech on Toast podcast. Enjoy the show. Welcome to the next episode of the Tech on Toast podcast. And today I'm delighted to be joined by Gemma Barter, Senior Digital Marketing Manager at Honest Burger, and Matt Ford, Business Development Director, sounds very important, Matt, at Krowd. How are you both?
I'm important too.
You are both important.
You are very important, Gemma. That's why you're here.
Your title's longer, so it makes you more important. So, ladies first, before we meet you, Matt, tell us a little bit about you, Gemma. Where are you from? What do you do?
Sure. So I'm Senior Digital Marketing Manager at Honest Burgers. I've been in hospitality marketing for nearly 9 years, ex-Hawksmoor, which is where Matt and I...
That's where the relationship is.
Yeah. So I look after all the digital strategy at Honest. So whether that be website and SEO, email marketing, loyalty, social media, paid media.
Wow.
Lots of different things, lots of different areas, but obviously look after the card-linked offers that we do with Krowd.
Yeah, brilliant. And a great brand as well. Obviously, we're all big Honest Burger fans. We say that for a free burger normally, but yeah. Matt, what have you got to offer? You got free burgers?
Well, we work with Honest, so normally we...
Indirectly, yes.
Yeah. Normally arrange meetings on site at Honest, and it tends to go, do you want lunch? Oh, okay, go on. My name's Matt, Business Development Director for Krowd. 25 years hospitality experience, showing my age.
Same here, my friend.
Yeah. Predominantly with steak, actually. So I did a fair old...
Specifically built my career on steak.
I was really skinny when I started hospitality. I did 16 years, big old stint with Gaucho, good and bad. And then jumped over to the other side and joined Hawksmoor, which was incredible. So I did 2.5 years at Hawksmoor. Predominantly head of marketing, senior director roles. And then really got an opportunity to join Krowd, which was really intriguing, really interesting, and now I sit on the other side, which is great. Still in marketing, but offering a service.
And I think it's really interesting actually to have both sides of the coin here, because sometimes when you talk to the product, it's very, obviously the product is very product focused. And when I say the product, I'm talking about a human behind the product. But when you have a customer here as well, which is really cool, right, to be able to bring a customer on and have that. So I'm going to ask you both, from your side, Matt, what is Krowd? Explain to us.
Okay, yeah, it's 30 seconds, right, here we go.
You can do your best.
Essentially what we are is we sit in the CLO space, which is your card-linked offer space, which has... in, I would say, the last 3 years since, and I won't mention the P word, but when everyone came back
it's
to work...
banned from this podcast.
Yes, when everyone came back to work and started working normally, there was an opportunity for incentivisation and offers and rewards and discounts. You put them all in the same basket, but they all mean the same thing, right? And Krowd came along wanting to support hospitality in a way that we hadn't really seen before. Okay, you see it with the QSR brands, you tend to see it with... the Nando's and such like, but actually being able to tactically target people through transactional spend and understanding where customers are spending through tapping their card, never really been done before. And the likes of American Express and BA Rewards and banking partners and challenger banks like Revolut and Monzo have come along, and I'm sure everyone's going to pull out their banking app now and look at what offers are there. But that is what Krowd is powering. We're powering tacticality and incentivization to essentially drive incremental spend, which is ultimately what we all want. Right?
Yeah, the golden goose, right, isn't it, in the industry? And that's great, thank you, Matt. And it nearly 30 seconds.
That was pretty good.
First time we met, I think it was 3 minutes.
Yeah.
and Gemma, from your side, because you're using the product, I suppose, what did you think you were buying into, and are you getting what you thought you'd get, if that makes sense?
Yeah, no, for sure. So it's a way of discounting, but it doesn't feel like it comes from the brand. I've worked for brands that definitely are really against discounting, and I hate that word. So we see it more as a reward, And choosing the right CLO partner is really important because they've got to have the right relationships with the publishers. And Matt and Krowd are like the middlemen, so we don't have to have 6 different relationships with 6 different publishers. They're the facilitators of that, help pushing us for extra marketing activity, and it's a better way of running it, as opposed to kind of the brand going direct to the publisher.
I love it. So I'm guessing you do most of the heavy lifting in this.
Yeah,
Matt.
essentially we'll sit down with Gemma, and Gemma will say, right, here's a budget, and we go, okay, what's your audience? What opportunities do you want? It's always first-time diners. What we try and do is try to sort of break it up across our network we call it the ecosystem of publishers. We try and sort of do a 3-month stint on and off, so we're making sure that there is still that we don't get brand fatigue, and then we aggregate everything, and then we come back at the end of the month and sit, after 6 to 8 weeks, sit down with Gem and look at the KPIs and the metrics that we put in place originally, and that might be frequency of visit, could be increase ATV, could simply be actually I just want to drive revenue. Those are the sort of conversations we have.
I think for us it's so great for data. So we don't have a huge amount of our data on our customers at Honest. We don't do bookings, so we don't necessarily get their emails every time they come in.
Yeah, you don't have that opportunity, do you?
Yeah, so we don't necessarily track frequency and track spend and different things like that. And having the benefit of Krowd has allowed us to get so much data on our customers. So what is the average frequency of our customers coming in? Do they change depending on publisher? What are the average transaction values? For example, BA spend a lot more than the airtime reward customer. And having Matt and the team being able to kind of give us that data, it's giving really, really valuable insights into our customers.
Yeah, and that I think data becomes every podcast we do or every conversation we have about a product or with a customer comes down to data. We had a panel this morning with JKS Restaurants on it with Brendan, and he was talking about the fact that one single customer point of view they're starting to get now and understand behaviour like you're talking about. And if you don't have that, you've got to be at a disadvantage, right?
Yeah,
it's a funny one. I speak from a lot of people that I speak to. Hospitality has always been quite emotive. It's always I think and I feel and that looks
yes.
good and that feels
our gut
good, right?
is very strong.
We work in hospitality, yeah, this is what we do. Yeah, I'll look after you. But actually pulling data and go, oh, that's probably a wrong decision. Or something simple like looking at dishes and segmentation of the menu, and just data is there. Just utilise it in a way that enhances hospitality, which is ultimately what we're trying to do, right? We all want customers to come back. We all want incremental spend. We're all part of hospitality because we're hospitable, and actually it's a wonderful place to work. And if you're making smarter, more informed decisions, then that's better for hospitality, right?
Yeah, I think it's very. We were talking again this morning about the way that hospitality hires and the senior people in the business these days in the industry. That actually it's changing from people like me, I suppose, who grew up in the industry and get all the way to the top. And there's some analysts in there. There's people who have real finance, banking backgrounds. It's really interesting the way it's changing. And I was going to say, Gemma, can you be quite deliberate and targeted, almost A/B test with the data you're getting then from what Matt's providing?
Yeah, so primarily the CLOs are acquisition. So we target mostly to new customers. Yeah. Then you've got your lapsed offer. So can we get those people back in? And also very interesting is it's the only space in marketing where we get visibility on where our customers are spending. So how can we target competitor spend and things like that? And you can drill down into demographics, area, etc., etc. So yeah, it's very, very targeted. And as a digital marketer, I need data. I need results.
Invaluable. Yeah.
Yeah, I need results. I need numbers. I'm not neccelessarily emotive, fluffy marketer.
Yeah. You have to tell someone what you've done, right?
I wasn't painting or tying with a brush.
Don't put me in that bucket.
It is quite an interesting point because actually, I studied marketing and I'm the wrong side of 40 now. Gemma is nowhere near that. And social media wasn't a thing, right?
Yeah.
Analytical approach wasn't a thing at university. You came out, you got a piece of paper, and you went off and did marketing. But now, when you are sat there with they're essentially data scientists, data miners.
Yeah.
Even the finance people are commercially minded. So you've got to have your wits about it. You've got to know what you're talking about.
Yeah, and I think
the proof is in the pudding, right?
And there's a lot of risk, right, as well. I think, again, back to data, everyone's talking about it all the time, but you're actually capturing a lot of, if it's just transactional data, fair enough, but when you're catching people's personal data, there's a lot of responsibility that sits behind that. There's a lot of ownership that sits behind that. Is that something you help manage in that sense, or are you safe?
Data, yeah, completely. The data is honest, okay? And the data is any brand that we work with, it's their data. We don't collect and we don't see the information. We don't know Gemma's name, we don't know her email address, we don't know her telephone number. That is honest and that stays with honest. Everything we do is done behind the banking firewall, and essentially it's owned by the banks or the publishers. What we do is essentially just build a customer profile based on the first 6 digits of the card and the last 4.
Right.
And then we assign a code to that, and then we can track it. That's it. And then we just build that profile, and then we can then push that through and push incentives through based on the information that we see there. So we do need the help of the brands, because ultimately once we've got transactional data, we then sit down, and this is where Gemma from an analytical perspective goes, okay, this is what I want to see. This metric is I want to see increased frequency of visit for first 3 months versus the last 3 months. Can you show me increase in spend in certain sites?
Yeah.
What can we see outside of London? And that's when we get quite granular and we start to break it down.
That's great. And Gemma, can you repeat business? I always say is like the golden goose, right, of hospitality. Like having someone who arrives the first time is great, but getting them back again is like, wow, we've easier to lose one than to win one, right?
Yeah.
So how are you kind of generating? Are you getting repeat custom from these people, or can you track that? I suppose from people who come in the first time when you acquire them, can you see when they come again?
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely something we can't see it without CLO.
Yeah.
Unless they log onto our Wi-Fi or make a booking, but they're primarily large parties, so it's a very small amount of our database to be able to see repeat visits. However, with Krowd, we can see when someone's come in, the increase of the increase in frequency. Since we've been running the campaigns at the start of the year, what was the frequency average there, and what is the frequency average looking like now? We've seen an increase in market share, increase in share of wallet, and increase in average frequency. So driving that incremental spend with new customers and then getting them to come again is a key part of this strategy.
Sounds like a no-brainer. But
yeah.
I was just about to say that I don't need to add anything. Thanks, Gemma.
You can leave. We'll just stay with Gemma.
Finished.
No, but I find it fascinating, right? Because there's a lot of resistance to tech for various reasons, right? Time mostly with operator brands, they're so busy and it's so time poor. But I always try and say, look down the road, start with the end in mind. What could you achieve if you did this properly? What can you achieve? And what Gemma is explaining is what you can achieve if you just apply the correct, because it's not just about your product, is it? It's about the way that honest burger behave around your product.
100%. And I think one of the key things that we really try and stress is the fact that there's no front of house training. There's no integration with POS at the moment. There's no need for that because it's all done on the card.
Yeah.
So the customer doesn't come up with a QR code.
So the card is the POS, right?
The card is the POS, right? Yeah. The journey starts and ends with the card.
Yeah.
And we can then pick up, and then we then go through all the data afterwards. So there isn't this, oh God, another platform. Oh no, everyone needs to buy into it. It's simple, seamless.
We also were using another CLO provider that was just kind of running in the background, and I've been at Honest for nearly 2 years now. And it kind of sat with me, but not really. And then I was kind of like, I need to take a hold of this and understand what's happening. And they were random campaigns that had all been agreed and set up a year ago.
Right.
And were just running in the background, not doing anything with it. The cashback percentages didn't make sense based on the segments we were targeting. No one was looking at the data, and I actually ended up not working with them anymore because the way they pulled the data was very odd. And through my relationships with Matt, past colleagues, good guy, so
I'll edit that bit out.
Started working with Krowd, and it just became so much more tactical. And to my CEO at the time, was like, this is the only proper data and return that we can get on the marketing activity and the spend, because anything through social ads, we didn't have a call to action for a booking or anything like that, but we're actually seeing exactly how much we're spending through commission and the cashback and how much is returning. And
I think that again for tech providers is that when you're selling in or when you're sharing a product, to be able to say you can start here and get here and we can measure it is one of the things that actually people like PARS and workforce management, all those guys find hard to measure because it takes such a long time, potentially, depending on how it's onboarded and adopted, to see that result. But you guys can see it. So basically, if I'm Honest Pizza, sorry, it's really bad. But I buy off you today, how quickly can I be up and running? Depending on the size of my business, so a similar size business.
It's a good question. Look, it depends on the publisher.
Right.
We're quite specific with the publishers that we work with. We want them to have as much tacticality as possible. There are other publishers out there that we choose not to work with, partly because we just can't get the data.
Yeah.
So we're pretty specific in what we want, but anywhere between 2 to 4 weeks. Amex Dining, that's a phased approach, so it'll run for 3 months, and in that 3 months, the sales team and I will then go away, onboard new brands, take off other brands, and then actually really go and launch quite big with obviously the support of American Express. It all depends on the publisher. That was a bit of a waffly answer, but
no. I got 2 to 4 weeks. That's what I got, which is fine.
Yeah, fair enough.
And I think, and I'm an Amex user. And I'm guessing, so if I'm on my Amex card on my app, I can go into the rewards bit, and that's where I'm going to find.
If it's a personal Amex card, absolutely.
Yeah.
So Amex Dining is really just trying to drive loyalty, really, and that's really support hospitality in a way that we've never really seen before. We're a brand first business,
right.
And Amex are very much that way as well in terms of wanting to support. Rebirth is the wrong word, but actually people coming back in and spending and going to new restaurants, new experiences, trying restaurants that they've wanted to try but maybe haven't. It's just an opportunity to have almost an equilibrium. Amex Dining, 10% cash back. I fancy steak. Okay,
Yeah.
and the way it works from a Krowd perspective is we've got all that transactional data of where Chris goes. Chris taps at Steak R Us.
Yeah.
I'm not going to use any names here, but Steak R Us, and then he's been there 3 or 4 times. But actually, there's another one called Steakhouse, and actually the incentive would come from Steakhouse because you've never been there before.
Yeah.
So we're just trying to equal the playing field and get people back to try new brands, new restaurants, new experiences in a way that has never really been done before.
Yeah, and I remember speaking to Vic Searle about lapsed customers that you were talking about, Gemma, and how a nudge is really useful, right? So in email marketing, in terms of just giving them a nudge every so often, hey, remember us, we're still here.
Yeah.
And you're doing that, but in a different way, right? With your lapsed customers potentially, where you're kind of saying, hey, come and try us again.
Yeah, and I don't have to write the email or send it. So I just tell Matt
Win-win.
Well, we've got a couple of new features, particularly with Phase 4 for Amex Dining, where those nudges are there.
Yeah.
So Chris would see 4 steak or burger related.
You're really painting me in a bad light here.
Well,
I love steak, don't get me wrong.
Right? I didn't want to go down.
I feel like me and you need to go out for dinner.
Vegan
It'll be a simple choice.
I know what you like. But those nudges are there, right? When you go on Amex Dining, you will see brands recommended for you based on where you've been previously. You'll still be able to see everybody others or the other brands, sorry. But actually those 4 brands that we are recommending will fit the profile of where you go.
Also, to explain, because you're very much in the brand, is you've built Amex Dining for Amex. So you've built that site and you're fueling all of those offers. So
yes. I'm going to take full credit for that, but there was a wonderfully far smarter team that built it. But yes,
not you personally. And so Matt can come to me and say, right, what's your special this month? We're going to highlight you as a hero brand for Gold Card Amex users, and I can supply him with creatives, pictures, videos, whatever, copy, and that. Amex have let Krowd kind of build that, and we can then advertise that way as well.
Yeah. So, I mean, you're an extension to Honest Burgers marketing right now, or to your customers' marketing, right?
I think that's, particularly with my experience from marketing, and obviously Gem and I working very closely together, it was a very organic and easy transition to sort of say, look, I know that brands aren't doing this at the moment, would you like to try it? Yeah. Knowing full well there was going to be successes at the end of it. And I think the way that I want Krowd to be positioned is very much, as you just said there, an extension of marketing. So when people are planning and budgeting for 2024, they're going, well, then we need X% to go to.
Yeah, you're another lever to pull, right?
Absolutely.
And I think that as an operator, when I didn't work in marketing, but in ops, I needed 4 or 5 different things in my toolkit to help me make money or to help me manage cost. And and it's evergreen, right? It never bloody changes. I mean, everyone says, "Oh yeah, it's changing." It's not. It's the same thing. Hospitality is still humans facing each other, serving food with all the tech enabling it. But I think what you give potentially is this extra avenue to go down for a marketer to say, "Do you know what? I've got all this running well. I can't particularly attach results to X, Y, and Z, but I can to this because I can see I can see what comes in. I can see what the output's like."
100%.
Yeah, maybe I'll just write that on your website. Yeah. And interestingly, to do all this, you talk about you need partners, you need collaborations, you need to be able to work not just with your customers, I suppose, because that is a partnership, isn't it? Really, because you're providing them with content potentially to do other stuff for. But how important is that to, I suppose, Krowd's future to be able to keep partnering, keep collaborating with other people in the sector?
Look, it's a super important question, and yes. 100%. If we're going to evolve, we know that we need collaborations, integrations with the major players. Everyone knows who they are.
Yeah.
Whether you be a CRM platform, POS integration, we rely on the brands to bang the drum for us as well. Of course, we're having conversations, and we're quite far down the line with most. Probably shouldn't mention them, but so yeah. Ultimately, with partnerships, they are the evolution of Krowd, or they will be the evolution of Krowd. We are very much in the CLO space. That is not where we want to stay. There are things that are going to happen, particularly within hospitality, around instant incentivization.
Yeah.
There are POS brands that are really, really driving that drum at the moment, or banging that drum at the moment. We want to be part of that, and we have a data set which can then enhance what they're trying to do, but we'll also do our own thing as well.
And Gemma, is it linked to? I mean, I know it's not loyalty, but it's close, isn't it? As in terms of you're edging on the side of that, where you're bringing people in through their loyalty to their Amex app potentially.
Yeah. So the next stage that we probably can't talk about too much because it's top secret information between Honest and Krowd is how we can get that transactional data, link it back to an identifiable customer, so that we can then identify them in our CRM database.
You have a single customer view of that one person.
So at the moment, we know these people. We don't have any names behind them. So the banks know the names. The banks know how many times they're coming in, what their frequency is. But ideally, that next step is us being able to start to identify them as a customer and then start targeting different marketing through our CRM.
Yeah, and I think it's a bit like the Deliveroo conversation with the aggregators, right? The aggregators own all the data, and the customers who are doing all the bloody hard work aren't getting it, right? So, but I get it; they're a data business. They so it's that fine line in between, and I think it's interesting.
It is, and as I said, we are reliant on integrations with other partners at the moment, partly because there's so many, right? And you probably, Jem, work with 3 or 4 platforms, suppliers, integrations, of which, if we are going to be a data input that's going to go into the CRM, we're going to need to have a relationship. Yeah. The ultimate aim is for Honest to come away with a better customer view, or single customer view, or a better understanding of how many times their customers are coming back. Are they going to other restaurants? What are they spending? Where are they sitting?
And then talking to them through our different channels.
Because then that lever I talked about enables the other 4 or 5 channels you have, right? So it's not just a standalone; it actually connects them. And how are they behave? I mean, I suppose what have you learned? I suppose from your customers' behaviour is there a trackable? Is there a certain type of behaviour around CLO? Is there a way people use you guys to kind of enter the restaurants, and how do they behave? The consumers, I suppose.
I guess the easiest way is to track the amount of enrolments, which have just gradually been going up. That's just not on Amex Dining, that's across all platforms. I think from a customer perspective, irrespective of whether we're talking about hospitality as a whole, consumers want incentivizations. There is this sort of mentality of what's in it for me, I've got money to spend, where can I save? Which is, that's kind of where we are in the world, right? Yeah. I think there's no beating around the bush. It's tough at the moment. So consumers are naturally looking over going, oh, okay, well, if I can get 20% cash back there, I've always wanted to go there, so let's try it out. If we are, able to enable that and help those customers along the journey, whilst also increasing frequency of visit, looking at ATV, looking at metrics that Honest will measure success on, then that's box tick for us.
Yeah. And what about in the store? So when they are coming in, do you see a different behaviour in terms of spend versus a regular customer, or is it hard to track?
It's hard to track because it depends on the publisher.
Right.
So I would say the behaviour, because we don't necessarily have the data of the behaviour of the people who aren't using
Which is
CLOs,
hopefully the next step.
Yeah. Then it's more identifying the behaviour of the different publishers. So we've got much higher ATV on BA rewards. We've got higher frequency on airtime rewards. But is that because it's not click to activate where Amex is?
Yeah.
And the different phases that Amex do. So it's more about the difference between the publishers than necessarily the customers that we don't have the data on because we can't compare it.
And it's just on that, it's probably fair to say as well that Gemma and I sort of go back and forth. Some publishers are not right for honest.
Is that right then? So would you have certain brands that might not suit airtime rewards, for instance? Right, okay.
Yeah, that's nothing against airtime rewards. It's just maybe it's
it's like
it's either a demographic question, it's a location question. It could be
but it's normal, right? Some, I mean, we were just talking about pay at table in the last thing I was in, and they in market halls, in food halls, saying that actually some of them just don't. You'd imagine everyone should have it in market halls, but actually not all of them want that journey. They want the service journey. So I think everything has its own niche, and everything. You have to A/B test, I suppose, to work that out. I mean, which I guess you guys are doing.
Yeah, control groups are really important. So, and A/B testing, so testing different cashback amounts, testing different creative on the Amex Diamond website, and then testing those control groups. So, what can we see from the people on Amex? Are they behaving differently with frequency of visits? Are they spending more? And things like that.
I love that. So you'll be able to, basically, because I'm a content freak, but you create content, you can actually see what result it's having next to the next piece of content you put out, and you can put alongside each other. I think it's invaluable stuff. I just think it's great, and I'm very wary that we could speak for hours, so I'm going to make sure I carry on. And what about, I suppose, AI was talked about over the last few weeks, and there's obviously when ChatGPT came out, everyone freaked out, going the world's going to end, but actually now most people are using it within their worlds. How is it going to impact what you guys are doing?
That's a good question. I think we are, at the moment, from an AI perspective, we're utilising what's available to us.
Yeah.
The way I see AI being utilised from a hospitality perspective is very much around creative content.
Yeah.
And I think we can spot it immediately. The Krowd AI engine, as we call it, is an intuitive engine which learns, which sits behind banking firewalls. So we have embraced the AI. So I'm not going to sit here and go, no, it's not doing anything with hospitality. It is helping. I can see where brands lean on AI too much, and I think it's quite evident, particularly when you look at
in terms of like blogging and
social.
copy.
It's just that's when and one of the things that, and Jem maybe will back me up on this, is we used to work at Hawksmoor, and Will you can tell if Will has written a newsletter because it's heartfelt, and I think that's what brands want their consumers to buy into, and customers go, oh look, it's a mailer from Hawksmoor, and I'm not, feels like I'm banging the drum.
No, well you should, because they're great. There's nothing wrong with that.
If a mailer drops from Hawksmoor, you genuinely go, I'm going to read that.
Yeah.
And Honest Burgers.
And now Honest Burgers as well. Does Will write Honest Burgers?
I write Honest Burgers.
But it is really interesting, and we talked about brand a little bit before we came in the studio, actually, and how actually the best brands are so protective of their brand and their customer journey, and their, that's why tech is sometimes a bit difficult, because you're saying, oh, are you really representing us properly outside of our four walls? And I think that protection of that brand, and now like you're talking about blogging and posting, you can see it a mile off, right? You can read it and you feel it. You should, and ChatGPT is great to help with some lengthy blogging, I think, but you still have to put your spin on it. You can't just send it out. And I think, do you feel like your brand is being represented? I feel badly sitting right next to you, but do you feel like you can trust that Honest is represented through the journey that it's going through Amex Diners and everything else? Yeah,
absolutely. I resize images and send them to Matt and give him copy and all of that. I think, circling back slightly to your AI question, is I see it as more of a use, maybe not through content or copy, but, for example, through loyalty, using an AI or machine learning to understand the behaviour of a customer and then targeting offers to it based on their visit probability is really exciting.
Yeah.
So that's kind of a big project for me this year. So it's doing that analysis of a customer behaviour without you having to do it, and setting up rules to then target offers. So I think AI is going to be really great in the loyalty space of how to kind of segment and target.
And
offers.
it's a big piece, loyalty, right at the moment.
Huge.
It's I mean, we have on the front of our website, we have a search engine where you can search for people like you. And the most typed thing over the last 6 weeks, the typed question is, help me with loyalty or loyalty. It just seems to be everybody. The worry is that people think loyalty will fix their business, but loyalty comes from what you do, right, before you put tech behind it. But
Well, it sounds like that everyone thinks that loyalty will fix their business if that's what they're searching.
Yeah.
It's a hard one, right? If you go back to the likes of a Nando's loyalty app, right? We've all seen it. It's the chili peppers.
Yeah.
Even Starbucks and such like, magic stamps of the world, which were...
I mean, I had a wallet full of them.
They're all there, right?
Yeah.
So it's a difficult one. I think what Gem is doing and what Honest are doing in terms of understanding and utilising AI in a way to drive loyalty, working with us, it's quantifiable.
Yeah.
And I think it's what we want to do is make it seamless, right? It's got to be frictionless and seamless. And if we're able to do it through transactional data and link it back to honest customers in a way that's never been done before, then that's obviously very quantifiable. But I still go to my local coffee shop and still get my stamp. So,
But I was talking to Sarah from Brewdog's here today, the marketing director, and was just talking to her, and she was saying about not so long ago, Brewdog was still on paper-based loyalty program, right? From I can't remember what it's called now. Punks. Anyway, but they had a paper-based loyalty program, and she was saying we could have reached so many more through digital means, but it's also turning that ship around to do it when you're at this size. So it's interesting. But sorry, you were going to say something.
No. I don't think I was. I could just talk about this for so long.
Well, one thing I will say, it's really interesting talking to you two because you're both. I think there's obviously there's a good working relationship, but you're very analytical. And I think I was just because I always think about sound bites during the podcast, right? And I was thinking, oh my god, I've got about 50 here already. But it's really interesting the way that you and I actually believe that is the future. That's what I was saying about the type of people who are working in marketing, in finance, in operations now is changing a little bit because the emotion has to remain because that's what our business is, but we need some really deep analytical thinkers to think about what we're doing and where the money's going and where our customers are going, right? And I think, Gemma, you've talked about that a lot. And is that an obsession, not an obsession with you, but is that something you're very focused on, the analytics behind or the tactical way you do marketing?
Yeah, I mean, I always say my approach to digital marketing is test, learn and refine.
Love that.
Constantly, whether it's copy, whether it's creative, whether it's targeted offers through TBC loyalty or through CLOs, you've got to test it, then you've got to refine it based on what you've learned and then test again. And it's just that cycle of testing, refining, learning constantly.
I couldn't agree more. I think there's also, as I said, I'm a little bit older than Gemma. There are those we've had to sort of go back and learn because it is new. And as I said, when I went for university, it wasn't as analytical.
Yep.
So you've got to apply yourself, right? Because this is where we're going from a marketing perspective, and the marketeers that are coming out now are, as I said, all data scientists.
Yeah.
The CFOs and head of finances are commercially minded.
I actually think the generation going through the middle management right now are challenging these senior execs, and I don't mean challenging in a negative way. I think the senior execs are looking at these people in their middle management who've grown up with an iPhone and nothing else, and are thinking, okay, this is interesting because I think the world. I don't think people have really felt it yet in terms of right at the top because I think there's a huge change coming. The kids that sit in our brunch this morning talking to us about asking us, and when I say kids like you, I mean people who aren't 50, but talking about the way they think about business or hospitality compared to the way I thought about it, I find it absolutely refreshing, exciting because there's so much possibility, but also there's an element of fear, right? Because everyone's worried, don't take our hospitality away, but I think it's coming, and I think there's going to be a real shift in the way, I think you're already doing it, but the impact will be much bigger when everybody's doing it.
Definitely.
Because the customers will also follow you, which I think is really exciting. And I think that sometimes we always talked in Carlucci's about being the educators. We have to educate our customers around Italian food, tell them what it was like, to explain what to buy. I think you've got to do the same in product and marketing as well.
But also with the data, it's not just, I'm super data hungry, I want to know everything about everyone. It's all with the customer in mind.
Yeah.
I want to improve the customer experience through the data and the analytics that I'm getting. I'm not doing this just and collecting all of this data and analysing it just for fun and so that I can talk the talk, but it's about improving that customer experience and making. It's not about being creepy, because a lot of you can get creepy with digital marketing.
I think they call it, someone from Patronics called it close to creepy.
Yes.
Charles from Boston. He said, I'm just a little bit close to creepy.
It is. It's a little bit creepy what you can do, but if you can market that in a way and target a customer based on the segment on what they like, then it should be valuable to the customer.
Yes.
100%.
And not creepy.
The customer, genuinely, the customer should just feel it's very organic, right?
Yeah.
Well, they shouldn't feel anything, right?
Well,
They should just. They should just. This ended up in my email because that's what I like.
Yeah.
I ended up eating this at dinner. I don't even know how. I've got a bottle of wine off the waiter because it's my birthday. I didn't even know he knew it was my birthday.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff I think is absolutely mind blowing. I saw the founder of Seven Rooms doing Alison Page doing a talk on how they, this is about 4 years ago, how in Seven Rooms they were using the product to understand when people are visiting based on their love for red wine. And Ruth from Pete's Pilgrims told a great story about where she went there and they had dinner. And through Seven Rooms, they realised that the boyfriend's birthday, it was Ruth's boyfriend's birthday, they ended up in the wine cellar doing a tasting, just all impromptu.
Yeah,
and Ruth spent the next half an hour just going, that was
Yeah.
insane. How does that? And that is, that's an ultimate, right? That's
that's
old school
hospitality. That is old school. I remember back in the day when I was a gaucho, you mentioned Seven Rooms, so I can say open table.
They'll all be happy now.
Yeah, exactly. It ticked all the boxes. It was a very manual process.
Yeah.
But we would go out and put notes on reservation system and the platform, and it would be discussed in the staff brief, and it was about enhancing the experience and going away saying, well, this is the bottle of wine you had last time. This is the new wine that's come in from this winemaker. It's just been released. It's this vintage. Would you like to try it? That sort of blow away moment of real hospitality.
And we can still do that, right? It's
absolutely.
I think this is the learning part. That's what I'm saying about the exciting part. I think we're in the learning part where we've got really smart people actually running our businesses for us, or running our marketing teams or our operations teams, who are going to have the opportunity to change the shape of how that magic happens, because it was very manual, right? And that's why I think less people experienced it, and that's why I think the industry went through what it went through. But look, I could talk all day about this. You guys are interesting. But in terms of the future, I'll start with you, Gemma. What does it look like in terms of what do you see coming up? And we've mentioned what you think about loyalty. Anything else in terms of trends that you're looking at? You're thinking, well, that might be quite interesting for me.
Yeah, I've got just loyalty in my head. It's
that you are obsessed with.
It is a big project for me. I think, obviously, based on what we were talking about today, being able to join that loop on transactional data back to customer data and an identifiable customer will be invaluable. But I think digital is forever changing. So reading up on trends is always useful, and making sure you're understanding what everyone's doing. We've got a great industry in hospitality, and being able to talk to everyone about whatever's going on.
Or the WhatsApp group.
The WhatsApp group.
Everyone,
Vic bloody Searle, no WhatsApp group.
WhatsApp group.
I need to see her. She keeps going.
I'm seeing her in
the second one,
an hour and a half.
What, here?
No, at my office.
She's awesome. I've got a lot of time for her.
Yeah.
But again, that's just an interesting way of digital bringing community together. I know it's only WhatsApp, as in it's not like mind bending, but it's.
You should see the conversations that are ongoing there. You've got the North asking the South. I'm not going to mention any names, but there's loyalty plays on there. There's conversations around multimedia, visuals, or even you just need what they call decals going on windows or whatever. Sometimes you have to mute it. After 10 o'clock.
Pet photos are a bit much.
Yeah, I was part of that.
But she was right.
Were you part of that?
Yeah, I've got a beautiful dog, haven't
Oh,
I?
I've also got a dog, my little Bailey. Yeah, I think I put Bailey on there at some point. Yeah,
for
Guys.
sure. Why not?
We're middle-aged men. There's not much left.
To be fair,
pets are our thing now.
Even the rugby and the football lets me down now. So
let's not even go there. I'm a Jurgen Klopp fan, so I'm very happy. Anyway, but look, what about the future for Krowd? Because obviously you're talking about partnerships, collaborations. Why you really need, and I know you guys were talking to some people this morning at the brunch about partner up and doing some more with them. What obviously you're on the podcast. You have the airways to talk. Yeah. What's coming up for you guys?
Well, threefold really. So partnerships, integrations, better relationships, signing up more brands. We've got some cracking brands on board at the moment. I won't mention them, but you can find them on amexdining.com. The evolution of Amex Dining is obviously we're powering it. It's a joint venture between us and American Express, so that's not going anywhere. We want to evolve that. We want to take it further. We want more brands to sign up. We want to drive people back into restaurants. That's the ultimate aim. As I said, we're only on our 4th iteration of that at the moment, so we just launched phase 4 on the 19th of Feb, so the data will start to come through. We'll start to look at consumer trends all the way through till May. And then North America.
You went big there.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I've literally,
I thought you were like here and you went, whoa.
Hey, straight over to America. No, look, it's when you have a partner like American Express, it makes it quite organic that you would naturally move into,
of course,
to the US. And a lot of the brands that we work with already have premises, so it's quite an organic move for us, and that will happen quite soon.
Come back on the pod. We'll go and do it in Boston or something. It'd be great.
I'd love that.
Yeah. I'm there.
Can I come back?
Yeah,
on the
Gemma,
pod
yeah,
to
feel
talk
free.
royalty? Just I'll come back and come to North America.
Actually, bizarrely, my boss is in Boston today.
There you go.
So
I just knew, right? Subliminally, I knew.
Dots if you need to.
But look, to summarise for me, right, one of the things is interesting about this, again, it's really great, my role, because I get to talk to lots of people about lots of things. And Olivia Reed, who's a fantastic operator from Sessions, now with Market Halls actually helping them, she talked about the fact that great tech sits behind the people, not in front of them, in the way. And I think you two are a real great example of where something's been built to enable customers into hospitality, to enable Gemma to do her job and reach more people and track it and prove that it's working. And I think that's a great success story, right? To be able to share that with other people. So look, I've really enjoyed it. I wish I could have our long episodes. I just talk forever. But before we go, how can people get hold? Gemma, are people allowed to get hold of you? All these tech providers listening right now, are they good?
Yeah, LinkedIn, Gemma Barter.
There you go, LinkedIn. Yeah,
Gemma with a G.
Gemma with a G.
Gemma
Perfect.
with a G.
And we look forward to seeing you in Honest soon. Maybe for a burger. Just saying.
Please.
Yeah. And young man, what about you? Where can we get hold of you?
You could get hold of me, same as LinkedIn, Matt Ford, or just go through crowdit.com and just, ask for Matt.
Love it. Look, thanks very much for your time. Really appreciate it. And we'll see you all in Boston.
Amazing. Thank
Yeah.
you. Thanks for your time.
Thanks.
Thank you.